Thanksgiving wasn't supposed to end with gravy on the wall and my mother disowning me. My sister's plate missed my head by inches, the triplets screamed. And my dad pretended not to see. They thought they were breaking me that day, but I'd been documenting every lie for months. The baby monitor they mocked, the card they borrowed, the signatures they forged, all of it was already recorded. When I called my lawyer and said, "Activate the plan," I wasn't bluffing. They thought I was the problem child. What they didn't know was, I'd finally stopped being their victim and started being their evidence. Before I continue, tell me where you're watching from, and hit like and subscribe if you've ever been betrayed by family. Maybe your loved ones called it sacrifice while taking everything that was yours. This story isn't just about a flying plate. It's about the moment I stopped being their safety net and started fighting back. I grew up in a house where silence had a temperature. It wasn't cold or warm, it was heavy. You could feel it press against your chest whenever mom smiled too sweetly or dad turned up the TV just a little louder to drown her out. Our living room always smelled like lemon polish and reheated leftovers. There were plastic flowers that never wilted and plastic smiles that did. Lily came 3 years after me. A miracle, Mom said. The golden child who could do no wrong. At dinner, Mom would pile mashed potatoes on her plate first, then say, "Ethan, you don't mind waiting, do you?" It sounded polite, but it never felt like a question. I learned early that in our house, love had a hierarchy. When I was 8, I won a spelling bee. My ribbon sat on the fridge for a week until Lily brought home a participation trophy from a dance recital. Mine disappeared overnight. Mom said it must have fallen. I found it later under a stack of coupons. I didn't say anything. Back then, I thought swallowing things made them go away. I didn't know they carved space inside you instead. Dad was a ghost in his own home. A quiet man who fixed engines but never arguments. He'd nod along to whatever Mom said, like his silence was his contribution to peace. Sometimes he'd catch my eye across the dinner table when Lily threw a tantrum and whisper, "Just let her win. It's easier." That's what we both did, let her win. When I turned 18, I got a partial scholarship to journalism school. I still remember the day the university emailed me, "Congratulations." I printed it out and taped it to my wall. A week later, the financial aid office called. "Your tuition payment bounced," the woman said gently. "Maybe try again?" I checked my account empty. Mom said she'd borrowed it for Lily's classes, promising to pay it back. She never did. I didn't fight. I just took on another job at the campus library. I didn't know it then, but that accidental transfer would matter later. College was where I learned the difference between writing and recording. Writing was creative. Recording was survival. I started keeping folders of everything: receipts, bills, emails, texts. It was a habit, not a hobby. My first roommate called me paranoid. "You act like your family's the IRS." He laughed. I told him the IRS at least sent warnings. After graduation, I landed an internship at the city paper. I was broke but proud. Meanwhile, Lily dropped out of community college to find herself, which apparently meant finding her way back to my couch. She stayed 3 months that first time, said she'd pay rent, but instead, she forgot her debit card, then her wallet, then her dignity when she ordered takeout on my credit. When she left, she forgot that too. I paid off $600 in pizza and baby clothes. Still, I told myself it was fine. Families help each other. The second time she moved in, she had the triplets, 3 babies with identical curls and chaos. My apartment looked like a daycare explosion. Crayons on the wall, toys in the oven. I repainted at midnight before inspections. My landlord laughed, called it kid art. When Lily finally left, I promised myself never again. I even wrote it in my notes app. Never again. No matter what. But never is fragile when guilt is your first language. I saved for 7 years to buy my house. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, a patchy front lawn that looked better in the rain. The first night there, I didn't sleep. Not because I was scared, but because I couldn't believe the silence belonged to me. No crying, no demands, no footsteps outside my door. Just quiet. I told myself it was worth every sacrifice. I didn't realize how much that silence threatened them. Mom visited once, walked through the hallway like an inspector. "You did all this yourself?" she asked, tone balanced between admiration and accusation. I said yes. She nodded. "Well, good. It means you can help your sister now." That's how it always went. My success was everyone's resource. Every family dinner felt like an invoice. Lily needs help with daycare. The car broke down. You're the responsible one. They said it like it was a compliment. It wasn't. It was a job title I never applied for. Still, I tried to draw boundaries without sounding cruel. I offered to help her find budget aid, look for cheaper rent, connect her with local programs. She called me corporate cold. Mom said I was turning into those people you write about. Dad nodded, pretending he hadn't heard. The first real crack came one spring when I saw a $19.99 charge from an online game called Castle Pets. I laughed, probably a mix-up. Then another charge. Then one for $79.99. My card never left my wallet. I called Lily. She sent a shrug emoji. The kids must have clicked something. Chill. The problem was, they couldn't have. She didn't have my card. Mom did. Once. For groceries. I didn't yell. I froze the account and ordered a new card. 2 days later, Lily texted, "You're obsessed with money." That's when I started to wonder if obsession was just another word for protecting yourself. 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, Mom texted our family group chat a picture of my house with the caption, "So proud. Family always comes first." The comments poured in hearts. Praise. Assumptions. Cousin Josh wrote, "Plenty of room for Lily and the kids." Mom replied, "Exactly." I said nothing for a full minute before typing. "No one is moving into my home. I love you all, but it's not happening." Mom's reply came fast. "Resources? We are your resource." That night, my phone buzzed with a new message from an unknown number. "This is Mike from Best Value Auto. Lily listed you as guarantor. She's behind." I stared at the screen until the letters blurred. I had never signed a thing. My reporter brain woke up like an alarm. I pulled out the file box under my desk, the one I labeled, just in case. Inside was everything from old leases to clinic forms. I flipped through until I found it, a photocopy of my driver's license, the one I sent Mom years ago when she needed an emergency contact. Someone had scribbled my social security number on a sticky note and attached it. The note was gone. I sat in the dark for a long time. Then I called Nina. She didn't say "I told you so." She just said, "Do not confront them yet. Let them talk first, and record everything legally." That's how the baby monitor idea started. I bought one the next day for safety. Told Mom it was for the triplets if they visited. She called me thoughtful. By the time Thanksgiving came around, my house was spotless. I brought pie. Told myself I'd stay 1 hour. No fights. No guilt. No yes. The smell of turkey hit me like nostalgia and nausea. The table was too crowded. Lily leaned over and said, casual but sharp, "Huh? You'll give us your spare room this month. The lease is a mess. We'll move in Sunday." I blinked once. That's my office. And my house isn't baby-proofed for 3 toddlers. Mom didn't miss a beat. "You can write at the kitchen table." I laughed. "Once? No." The room froze. The triplets banged their spoons like tiny drummers of doom. "You're seriously saying no to your family?" Lily's voice cracked halfway between disbelief and rage. "Yes," I said quietly. "We agreed I'd co-sign advice, not mortgages." Her jaw tightened. Mom's lips pursed. Dad looked for the remote again. That was the first time I felt it, the shift. The moment they realized the oldest, quietest one might not play along anymore. I didn't know it back then, but this would matter later. The silence that followed was the same kind. I grew up with heavy, suffocating, pretending to be peace. I smiled through it, the same way I did when my spelling ribbon disappeared. Only this time, I had a plan, and a camera blinking red in the corner. The Monday after Thanksgiving, I opened my banking app before my coffee and froze. 2 new transactions, both small, both in Lily's town. A gas station, a toy store, my new card, my name. I'd replaced it days ago, but apparently she still had the numbers from before. I called the bank again, changed passwords again, and added a fraud alert. When the representative asked, "Do you know the person making these charges?" I said, "I do." Unfortunately. At work, Nina slid a coffee across my desk. "Smile," she said. "You look like someone who's about to sue Santa." I told her about the new charges. She didn't blink. "Don't react," she said. "Document." She wrote 3 words on a sticky note: boundaries. Truth. Legal. That night, I scrolled through our family group chat. Aunt Carol had posted a selfie of the Thanksgiving dinner, all smiles except me. In the corner, half turned away. The caption read, "Family is everything, even when some forget." I almost laughed. The comments were predictable. Poor Lily. Kids need space. Ethan's just tired. Mom's heart reaction sat on top, red and smug. I typed, deleted, retyped. In the end, I just wrote, "Boundaries aren't cruelty." No one liked it. A week later, my phone rang. It was Best Value Auto again. "Mr. Miller, we just wanted to confirm the address on file for the vehicle you co-signed." "I didn't co-sign anything," I said. The man hesitated. "It's signed right here, Ethan Miller." Describe the signature. He did. Straight, neat, too perfect. Mine wasn't. Mine looked like a seismograph reading. "Check the metadata," I said. "You'll find it came from a scanned PDF." There was a pause. "How would you know that?" "Because I'm an investigative reporter," I said. "And because I didn't sign it." When I hung up, my hands were shaking not with fear, but with clarity. They'd crossed from guilt trips to forgery. That night, Mom called. "Sweetheart," she said, in that honey-dipped tone she used before she cut deep. "Lily's under so much pressure. Can't you let her stay just until Christmas?" "No." Silence. Then the dagger. "You've changed." "I had to. Family doesn't draw lines, Ethan. That's why mine keeps bleeding," I said, and hung up. The next morning, Mr. Jenkins waved from his driveway. "You got company last night," he said. "Your mom and sister were at your door around 10. I told them you weren't home." "They had keys?" I asked. He shook his head. "Tried a few. Didn't work? You change your locks?" "Yeah," I said. "Good," he muttered. "Keep it that way." I stood there on my porch, watching the empty street shimmer in cold sunlight. For the first time, I didn't feel guilty, just tired. That weekend, Mom hosted a family dinner again. I didn't go, but the photos popped up online anyway. Lily and the triplets at the table, my empty chair, tagged with "Wish you were here." I commented, "I wish honesty was." 10 minutes later, Mom deleted the post. The next day, Nina called. "Ready for step 2? "I don't even know what step 1 was." She laughed. "Step 1 was you finally saying no. Step 2 is evidence." We met at a diner near the courthouse, a small place with vinyl booths and coffee that could strip paint. Nina slid a manila folder across the table. Inside were printouts, texts, screenshots, bank records. She'd compiled everything I'd shown her: dates, amounts, messages. The pattern was undeniable. "They've been using your name for almost a year," she said. "Small things at first. Subscription services, groceries, then utilities, then that car loan." My stomach turned. "Why?" "Because you've never said no long enough for them to believe you mean it." I exhaled. "So, what now?" "Now you let them talk again. And we let the truth record itself." 2 nights later, Lily called. Her voice was hoarse. "You froze the cards again, didn't you?" "They weren't yours." "Everything's yours, Ethan," she snapped. "The house, the car, the good credit. You get everything. I get the leftovers." I almost said, "You got the support," but swallowed it. She wasn't wrong about one thing. I had everything because I'd earned it. But that truth wouldn't reach her. "I'm not your safety net," I said. She laughed, bitter. "You always were. You just don't like the view from below." The line went dead. Later that night, my email pinged an unknown sender. A single line, "Family first, right?" Attached was a photo of my house, taken from the sidewalk. My chest went tight. I forwarded it to Nina. She replied instantly, "Don't engage. Let them play their next card." I didn't sleep. By morning, a new post appeared on Mom's Facebook. "Some people forget who raised them. Some forget their sister's babies need a roof. But I guess success changes priorities." Over 100 likes. I didn't comment. I went to work instead, sat through meetings, edited articles about housing fraud, and wondered if anyone else in that newsroom knew how familiar this story was. That night, I came home to find a note taped to my door. It wasn't signed. It said, "Be kind. Let them in." I stood there under the porch light, holding that paper until my fingers ached. Then I took it inside, scanned it, and filed it in a folder named Family. For the first time, I started to believe what Nina said: truth doesn't destroy families. It reveals them. I didn't know it yet, but the next time I'd see them all together, everything would detonate. A week passed without a single call. That silence should have felt peaceful, but in my family, silence was strategy. It meant someone was plotting the next guilt campaign. On Friday night, I found out what it was. Mom tagged me in a group post. Lily found a new place for the kids, but her deposit fell through. If anyone wants to help, message Ethan directly. He's always been our rock. The comments came fast, clapping emojis. Heart emojis, congratulations for me that I didn't deserve. Aunt Carol wrote, "You're such a good brother." Uncle Mark added, "Family steps up. That's what Millers do." I read it twice. Then I scrolled to the top and saw the photo. My house, my porch, my name on the mailbox. That's when I realized they hadn't stopped using me, they just rebranded me into a charity. I typed one sentence under the post. "Please remove this. I'm not your fundraising account." Within an hour, Mom blocked me. The next morning, Nina called. "You ready for the long game?" "What's that?" "Patience." And screenshots. We met again at the diner. She looked at me over the rim of her mug. "They're going to push harder before they stop. People like your mom and sister need an audience to validate their story. You take away that audience, and they'll try to drag you back in." I nodded. "So I do nothing?" "You document," she said. "And when they cross the line, you let the facts talk." That night, Lily texted, "We're moving in Sunday. Mom already told everyone." I stared at the message. For a second, I thought about replying with logic, with calm reasoning, with one more attempt at peace. Instead, I wrote 3 words. "You are not." The typing dots appeared, disappeared, then came back. "You think you can stop us?" I didn't answer. Saturday morning, I went out to check the locks. Every deadbolt clicked smooth. The security camera light blinked steady red. The baby monitor was packed, ready for dinner. At 10 a.m., Mr. Jenkins knocked on my door. He held a small envelope. "Thought you'd want to see this," he said. Inside was a printed email thread between my mom and Lily. He'd gotten it through a mutual friend who still worked at the community center where Margaret volunteered. The subject line read, "Operation Guild." I scanned the lines. If he says no, we move in anyway. He'll cave once the kids start crying. If he locks us out, we change the narrative. Tell people he's unstable again. Unstable. That word echoed. It was the same word Mom used years ago when I skipped a family reunion to work overtime. Back then, it was gossip. Now, it was a strategy. I looked up at Jenkins. "Why are you helping me?" He shrugged. "Because I had a son once. Same story. Different names." I watched him walk away from all of us. Now I know he was right. That night, I sat at my desk surrounded by documents. Every bill, every text, every time I'd said yes or no, it was all there. I opened my notes app. At the bottom of the list, under Never Again, I wrote, "Let the truth speak." Then I called Nina. "They're planning something," I said. Her voice was steady. "Good. Let them. Thanksgiving is the perfect stage." I almost laughed. "You sound like a director." She sipped her coffee. "I'm a lawyer. Same thing, just less applause." By the time Thanksgiving week arrived, I wasn't angry anymore. Just ready. Mom called 2 days before the dinner. "Luke might crash at your place for a bit," she said casually, as if we hadn't been at war. "No, Mom. Don't be petty," she snapped. "It's temporary." "Temporary is how I lost 2 years of savings," I said. Her voice dropped into a hiss. "If you shut your door on your sister and her babies, don't call me your son." I wasn't planning to. I hung up before she could reply. That night, I reviewed the setup. Camera charged. Cloud storage linked. Baby monitor positioned near the stove. Legal, visible, obvious. I didn't plan to trap them. I planned to let them show who they already were. When the day came, the air itself felt heavy. I could smell turkey before I reached the porch. Inside, laughter too loud. The triplets squealing. The hum of denial like background music. Mom hugged me at the door, said, "Let's keep today pleasant." "Sure," I said. Pleasant. Dinner was exactly what I expected: plastic tablecloth. Overcooked turkey, undercooked truth. But beneath every polite word was a fuse waiting to burn. Lily leaned over the table, voice soft, rehearsed. "So, we'll move in Sunday." I blinked. "That's my office." "You can write at the kitchen table," Mom said. "No." The room froze. Forks hung in midair. The babies pounded their spoons like they could sense the script. You're seriously saying no to your family? Lily's voice cracked. Yes, I said. The plate flew before the sentence finished. It shattered against the wall beside me, gravy sliding down in a slow brown streak. You're such an egoist, Lily shouted. Mom didn't even flinch. Don't call me your son anymore if you're going to act like a stranger. I stood up, wiped gravy from my sleeve, and smiled. Because sometimes, smiling is the only thing that keeps you from breaking. Then I walked to the porch, phone in hand, and called Nina. It's happening, I said. Then you know what to do, she replied. Activate the plan. Inside, Lily's voice echoed through the door. He's calling his lawyer on us. She had no idea the house had been watching her all along. I took a deep breath, stepped back into the noise, and sat down. The triplets banged their spoons again right on cue. Like the start of an encore none of them realized was being recorded. The next 20 minutes would unravel everything they thought they controlled. The moment the plate hit the wall, the room turned into a freeze frame. Steam from the turkey hovered in midair. A crimson stain of cranberry sauce on Mom's sleeve looked almost deliberate. Nobody spoke. Even the triplets paused, spoons suspended like tiny judges deciding who'd speak first. Mom broke the silence with that brittle voice she used in church, the one that sounded forgiving but wasn't. Sit down, Ethan. You're ruining Thanksgiving. I sat, not because she told me to, but because I wanted to see their faces when the first domino fell. Dad muttered something about the game. He grabbed the remote, probably thinking background noise could glue us back together. The baby monitor feed flickered onto the TV, the same one Dad had connected earlier so everyone could watch the kids in the kitchen. He forgot to turn it off. A red light blinked at the corner of the screen. Then the TV dinged. New recording saved. 12:41 p.m. 19 p.m. Lily frowned. What's that? Mom's eyes narrowed. Turn that off. Dad fumbled with the remote, but hit the wrong button. The clip opened. The sound filled the room. Lily's voice, light, laughing. If Ethan says no, we'll just move in anyway. He melts when the boys cry. My heart didn't race. I'd already heard it once. I just watched everyone else hear it now. The laughter in the recording made the real room feel airless. Then Mom's voice followed. He'll forgive you. He always does. If he gets loud, we'll tell the cousins he's having another episode. Aunt Carol's fork clattered. Uncle Mark's mouth dropped open. Dad froze. The remote hanging midair. Lily lunged for the TV. Turn it off. Dad moved first, but his shaking hands only turned the volume up. You already used his card once. Mom's recorded voice said, calm as if discussing weather. Delete the alerts. He doesn't check. Mom's real voice cracked. That's out of context. Context? I asked quietly. Like forgery? Like using my license for a car loan? All eyes turned to her. She straightened. You're making this bigger than it is. Is it? I asked, sliding my phone across the table. $1,286 for emergencies. $1,190 in food deliveries to Lily's address. $679 in subscriptions. 2 daycare late fees. A screen door I replaced. That's just this year. Lily's face went white. You keep a list? I'm a reporter, I said. Lists keep people honest. Mom slammed her hand on the table. We're your family. You owe us. I looked at her. The same way I used to when I was a kid, waiting for her approval. No, Mom. I've been paying that debt since I was 18. It's cleared. The triplets started to fuss, their cries blending into the hum of the refrigerator. For a moment, the house itself seemed to breathe with them, shallow, uneven, scared. Then everyone's phones buzzed at once. Nina's email. On the TV, the recording froze on Mom's face mid-sentence. On our screens, her words lived on. Screenshots of texts, timestamps, group chats labeled Operation Guilt. My polite refusals, her mocking replies. A PDF titled Unauthorized Transactions and Statements. Aunt Carol whispered, My God. Mom stood up, trembling but still defiant. You think this makes you better than us? No, I said. It just makes me done. Lily pointed at me, voice shaking. You set us up. I brought pie, I said. You threw it. Her chair scraped back hard enough to squeal. We're moving in Sunday. Try and stop us. You can't, I said. You returned your key. She looked at Mom. You have one. Mom blinked, realization dawning. Check your purse, I said. She did. Inside wasn't a key, just a folded note in Nina's handwriting. Keys are not commitments. Her face hardened. You're unbelievable. Better than unforgivable, I said. Aunt Carol stood. Margaret, you planned this? Mom's voice cracked. I was just helping. Aunt Carol's tone turned sharp. By lying? The room fractured. Voices overlapped, defensive, disbelieving, desperate. I stood quietly. I'm leaving before dessert. Mom spat. Run away. Just like always. I shook my head. I'm not running, Mom. I'm choosing peace. I walked to the hallway, grabbed my coat, and turned back once more. The baby monitor light still blinked red. In its lens, everyone looked small, caught mid-blame, mid-denial, mid-collapse. Then my phone buzzed again. A message from Nina. Step 3. Ready when you are. I typed one word. Proceed. As I opened the door, cold November air hit my face. Behind me, chaos spread, raised voices, the clang of dishes, someone crying. Ahead of me, silence. For the first time, I didn't flinch from it. I got in my car, hands steady on the wheel, and looked at my reflection in the rearview mirror. There was gravy on my sleeve, cranberry on my collar, and something close to relief in my eyes. They thought the plate was the explosion. They had no idea it was the recording. The truth was already out, and it was still rolling. The next morning, the doorbell shattered the quiet. Not a gentle tap, a pounding, desperate rhythm. I didn't open it. I watched from my phone instead. On the porch, Mom, face red, Lily behind her, 2 suitcases at her feet, and 3 kids strapped into a triple stroller like a parade that had lost its route. Mom shouted, "We're outside. Let us in." I pressed the intercom. My voice came out calm, steady. "You don't live here." Her eyes widened. "We'll call the cops and say you're keeping our things." "You have no things here," I said. The silence on the porch was louder than their yelling had been. Then Lily's phone buzzed. A few seconds later, mine did too. Nina had sent the group chat a PDF I'd approved the night before, an official letter on firm stationery. Statement of rights and boundaries. Margaret and Lily Thompson are not tenants of 231 Maple Drive. Any entry attempt constitutes trespassing. Any further unauthorized financial use will be prosecuted. Ethan Miller will continue support for the minors directly through legal channels only. Mom's lips parted in disbelief. The cousins in the chat reacted with silence for once. Then Aunt Carol typed, "Margaret, he's right." Mom pounded the door again. "You're heartless." "I have a heart," I said. "It's just not for rent." Behind her, Lily started to cry. Real tears, not performance. For a second, I almost reached for the lock. Then my phone pinged again, a fraud alert. Another login attempt from a new device. My hand froze midair. "Stop," I said through the speaker. The crying stopped. Lily's face shifted flat, tired, no longer pleading. "So it's war." "No," I said softly. "It's peace with rules." They left eventually, pushing the stroller down the sidewalk, the wheels squeaking against frost. I stood by the door until they disappeared, the sound fading like the end of an old song. They thought the battle was over. They didn't know the recording was only part 1. The real revenge was already in motion, and it wouldn't need a single word from me. If you've ever been the outsider in your own family, you know that silence can be louder than shouting. Saying no doesn't make you cruel, it makes you free. I learned that boundaries don't break love. They protect what's left of it. So, tell me where you're watching from, and subscribe if you've ever had to stand alone against the people who should have stood beside you. Because this story isn't really about revenge. It's about finally choosing peace, even when it looks like war.